Okay, this is the example for the dig unit, the way it runs. So this is throttle. You hit it, it locks the rear while the front runs. So let me do a close-up. The truck will be running. You can see the front here. This is the rear. You can lock it. This is full lock. There you go. You could set it in the middle, which would be neutral. I'm doing this manually because I have it set only for 2 positions at the moment. I don't really use the neutral that much. So it goes from straight running to a lock position. So this is where I can lock the rear and spin it around. Or just go into 4-wheel drive. There you go. Okay guys, so this is the exploded plan view with the parts list. So I'm going to go over it really quick. With the parts list, you're going to get this from Shapeways. It's this 3D printed piece. You're going to have to take this apart so you can snap it here. You can, I like to snip them. You'll most likely need an, I know, you end up with this little white spot because it's only colored, but oh, you gotta take that off. I did it together as a part, kind of like a little parts tree, because it's slightly cheaper. They charge per part, so I think this saves about $2. Actually, this one might rub. It's hard to do this. I'm trying to get this up close. So, take that off. Good. So, you got your tranny. This piece is this one. Then you got your small bearing. This one. This is your 5x8 by 2.5. This is your standard 5x8 by 4. Most Traxxas uses. This is a small 5x8 by 2.5. Yeah, 511 by 4. This is a 5x8 by 2.5. So you got the little one. Then you're gonna have a washer. Then you're gonna have the shaft. This shaft, part number 8292, is this one, which actually comes with the long shaft and this shaft, which has been cut. I'm going to show you a video later. I'm going to edit it in when I cut it to show you. You got the shaft. Then let's cut this out. These are a part of 8289. This is your pieces. Let's cut that out. So this one is your slider and locker. This is what's going to lock your stuff together. Lock and unlock. You got the little fork piece. This one. That's that. Then you need a few washers or an extra. There's a filler point. The way this is, I had to design. I designed everything around wanting to use existing Traxxas parts. So using this one, because of this hole and the spacing with everything, you end up with extra space. So that's where this becomes a filler. So you either use 5 of the Teflon washers or use an extra, this smaller bearing. The 5/8 by 2.5. That'll depend on how tight everything is later. I'll explain that. And then you got your big 5 by 11 by 4. Right? Then this is the other piece that came with Shapeways, which is this one up here. You got that. You are going to have to purchase some special screws. They're not special, but they're not that normal to find. I found a little box full of them on Amazon. These are 2.5 by 40 millimeter hex. So problem with that is in the transmission. In the transmission, they use 2.5 screws, which is why I had to go with this. It'd be so much easier if they were just 3 millimeters, but they use 2.5. So I had to look for these. I only found them in the big box. That is something you might have to look for. If you got a local part shop somewhere. Luckily, I have a little Ace hardware store where they have a lot of screws, and sometimes they might have had it. And then you're going to have your shaft stuff. Now the drive shaft, the issue with the drive shaft, if these come with a much bigger pin, this pin, this is the stock Traxxas pin, which does not fit here. So we end up having to buy the small pin, which is a 3 millimeter with a 2 millimeter shaft. With the 2 millimeter shaft, which does go into this one. So we got to replace this for the drive shaft. That's what ends up happening. Let's put this all over here. So let's put it all in order. I'm just going to put it out the way it is in the drawings. This is extra. Although in the instructions, when you read for the servo, you're going to have to recreate one of these yourself. Except a really long one. And I'll explain later. So I'm going to put this all away. You don't need these. These could eventually be used in your 2-gear transmission if you need it. Save them. There are spare parts in case you ever break your shifter. Or the little gear. This little gear thing that's meant for a smaller gear. Save that. Alright, let's move on to building it. Alright guys, here it is. This is the instructions. I'm a little zoomed in, but I just want you to see everything. So, we're going to build this. As of now, I am using the cheaper version because I do want to test it. So now for my next truck, I'm going to build this with the cheaper version. I've noticed some small issues, but we're going to fix it as we go. That way, I mean, now I know that on that version, you know, I guess there's a tiny bit of expansion when they make these. So there's going to be a little bit of editing, kind of. No, actually, this is supposed to be tight, so this one's fine. This one's very snug. That'll go on this axle very nicely. The other one, this one, I noticed this one is tight. And this one, we can't have it that tight. But you also don't need it to be exactly the size. So I'm going to use my reamer a little bit. Scratch a tiny bit off. I don't think I can get in there. I need this to spin because technically speaking, this is going to be spinning a lot. So now we got a small issue with this type. There you go. That's better. Although, I don't like that I'm having to take this off. Maybe for this version, I need to make the hole a tiny bit bigger. I don't think it's going to be a problem. There we go. Perfect. It's not going to be a problem because the bearing is much bigger than this. So it's only for the shaft to stick out when it's running through here. Right? So it needs to spin fast. Okay. So let's put this together the quick way. Looking at the picture, let's start with this one. So this one technically would go into the truck. We're not going to do that yet. Although when we're ready, I'm thinking about it just to show you. Remember, this, the original pin that comes in your drive shaft does not fit the end of the shaft that we customized. It doesn't fit, but it is made to go into this little yoke. So in your drive shaft, this is going to go in. We got the hole here. Wow, they really did make it bigger. This type of plastic definitely expands a little bit after printing. I am starting to realize that. I don't want to mess with it too much. I'll just use these. I'm using my 2mm tip to expand it a little bit. So this slides in. This is supposed to slide right in. And it's not. Shit. Excuse my language, but this is... I guess that's the issue with 3D printing. It's never exact. Now, I don't remember having this issue with the PA12, which is so far the version that has worked very well. This is what? My 2? Where's my 2mm? 3, 2.5. I'm going to show you this whole thing. That way you know this is a maker kit. Not much of a kit. You're getting my 2 pieces. The rest you got to get yourself and build it. But this is definitely fun for all of you that like to build things. I wasn't expecting this to be a problem. I got my trusty tools. That's not good. We're going to have to use a little drill bit. So I'll be right back.